So shall we start? Page 97. But I'm going back to page 96. Because the experience of Ashwapati, who is no longer, whose consciousness has become so vast, so universal, that for him reality is not what is just physically present. All that could be, all that will be, all that will never be, all this also is part of the universal plan. It's like, you might say, possibilities which have not become realities yet. But they are possibilities. Just like in us, there are thoughts, there are feelings that never come into outer, you might say, experience. We don't go through all the things that we can go through. Because man's nature is so complex, so vast, he can spread out into the universe. This is his experience. Sri Aurobindo's experience, because Ashwapati is Sri Aurobindo. So it's like his consciousness is spreading out into the universe. The individual captures some or manifests some aspect of those forces. Those forces are there forever. That's why here you have all thought can know, or widest sight perceive, and all that thought and sight can never know, all things occult and rare, remote and strange, were near to heart's contact, felt by spirit's sense. So you have this faculty of the senses, because it is through our senses that we connect with the world around us. The physical senses make us connect with the physical world, but we don't only have physical senses. There are other more subtle forms of sense experiences. Every part of our being has its own, you might reach us out to the world of experience through different forms of sense. So there is the Sukshma Sharir. There are all these different koshas, layers of the being. So all that thought can and sight can never know. Thought and sight, mind and body. They are limited to their outlines. But the universe is vaster than the outline. His consciousness is spreading out into this world. All things hidden, occult is hidden, secret, and rare, remote and strange, were near to heart's contact. They were not known through the senses, they were known by identity. The knowledge is by identity, not by connection with a certain formulation of contact. I have seen this, what I have seen is like this. But that is dependent on my sight. I see according to my sight. My sight is limited, is small. So what the truth that I see, that I perceive, is defined by my sight. If my sight, I'm no longer dependent on my physical eyes. I become one with the universal consciousness. I recognize the play of forces that have not yet come into manifestation in the world of matter, in the world of life, but which may come into some time, because matter is fundamentally spirit, which may come into expression sometime, or which may never come. It's part of the divine plan. It's just like us. We have all kinds of thoughts that pass through us. We don't express all of them. We don't live by all of them. But they are there. So what is outwardly expressed is only a very small fraction of all that can be there. So all these were near to heart's contact, felt by spirit sense, asking for entry at his nature's gates. They want to manifest themselves through his being. They crowded the widened spaces of his mind. So that's the first thing. He's a Jnana Yogi. Sri Aurobindo himself says that his yoga started as a quest for knowledge. It's not a quest for love. not a quest for action or consecration, but knowledge. That is how he started. Now, in the quest for knowledge, you have to take into account all the time the development of your faculties of knowledge. The faculties of knowledge are not of the mind only. That's just the surface faculty. There are other faculties. So the widened spaces, as your mind grows, it perceives, it realizes things that it would never otherwise have perceived. His self-discoveries flaming witnesses, offering their marvel and their multitude. So they are self-discoveries. He doesn't only discover them, he discovers himself, because all is he. I discover according to my nature. This is on a lesser scale exactly what we all do. We define experience and truth according to our nature. If my nature is impure, I see impurity. If my nature is a little less impure, I see beauty where others did not see beauty there. So it is not just one physical, absolute reality. Reality is extremely complex. These experiences they show. They are there, they come only if, like a witness does not have any selection. A witness watches. A witness doesn't do anything. So he sees these things, they are waiting to be seen. They are waiting to be seen. They are there. That's what, if you like, even the physical world, you take a researcher. The researcher sees more and more what otherwise is not seen by others, by the ordinary eyes. So it's a spiritual research. They are there, they're waiting to be seen. A witness does not really give opinions or guidance. It's there. These now became new portions of himself, the figures of his spirit's greater life, the moving scenery of his large time walk. So it is as if in the world of time, gradually the eternal forces slowly penetrate. If I widen myself, I see widenesses which are actually states of consciousness. But in the mortal has to be the medium through which manifestation takes place. Time walk. Time is the field of its manifestation. They are there, all things are already there on the higher planes. They have to be transmitted through the being in time. That is the whole thing. Or the embroidered tissue of his sense. Like beautiful, you might say, designs. The tissue is just a tissue, but you make a design on the tissue. It's the same tissue, but it has become more beautiful, more complex, more colorful. It has acquired a certain different value. So the values are actually what correspond to our own developed nature. As I change, my values change. My truths change. I recognize things I never saw before. These took the place of intimate human things and moved as close companions of his thoughts over his soul's natural environment. So everything, they don't have to be these companions, that is experiences, don't have to be occasions, opportunities, you might say moments of action. Everything is an opportunity for consciousness. If my consciousness is capable of receiving it. So Mother keeps on saying, widen yourself, open yourself. If you open yourself, you get in touch with realities that are always ready, waiting to be received. The universe or the divine, who is that aspect of the divine which is universal, is waiting to be absorbed by that person who is widening himself into a universal state. If I am narrow, I reject much of the reality of the truth that is there. And that is what makes for so much diversity. And all are right. There is nothing wrong. It is your right. That is what the way you see it is true to your present state of evolution. My state of evolution may not be yours, so I see things which are not what you see, and there is no question of things being wrong. It is how evolved one is. So right, wrong, good, bad, variety or absolute uniqueness, everything is just like it should be, that the mind is very strict and makes a definition or makes a strong rule. It should be like this. That is the only reality, that is the only truth. All this depends on the being who transmits, because he is not capable of receiving the universe inside him. So that is our, you might say, our share of the work. We are being given the whole divine presence. How much are we receiving? If I am small, I receive very little. If I experience, there are moments when I open myself, I see things that were always there. They haven't come now, they are always there. All truths are always there forever, from the beginning of before creation. I have to widen. This is my function. This is the yoga of the individual. And so it becomes a continuous world of discovery. So Sri Aurobindo, in his description of what a poet is, says it's not only a journey of discovery, it's a journey of self-discovery. When you discover something, you discover yourself. Discovered, you take off the cover, take off all the wrappings, you become open, free. This is the experience now that he's going through. Tireless the heart's adventure of delight. So it's continuous state of adventure. Endless the kingdoms of the spirit's bliss. Unnumbered tones struck from one harmony strings. Often uses this instrument, this image, harmony. Harmony is not the same note played over and over again. Harmony is a blending of different notes. One musical instrument playing all the variety of possibilities that manifest itself. This is our being. If I can become a musical instrument with many strings, then I can express reality, the truth, the beauty, the harmony that is not defined by a single mental rule. That is the difference between a religion which makes its one law and spirituality, which is a field of constant experience, which is at every step renewed, revised, rewritten. You rewrite your life at every step. You experience life in different ways. Behind everything there is something that is at work. All of us go through so many experiences in our lives. All of these, if we realize that they are expressions of nothing is not part of the divine plan. It's playing through me. It may sometimes feel like a discord. Now in the world of music, there are apparent discords. They join together to make a greater and more total harmony. So there were endless kingdoms of the spirit's bliss. Unnumbered tones struck from one harmonious strings, each to its wide-winged universal poise, its fathomless feeling of the all-in-one. Each experience is the all-in-one, and yet each one is what that is. There is a world, say, and this is what he will do in Book 2, from the following next canto. He will describe one canto, the subtle matter, and then move on from there. And it has its own spirit, it has its own way of being, it has its own manifestation. Each plane is a projection of the divine consciousness, complete in itself, and yet it is a projection of the one total consciousness. So I can stop at any level and say, this is all. I've reached that state. You say, I've reached that at a particular state of consciousness, I'm in touch with the divine. That is really the danger. There is no end to the self-discovery. I have experienced something, you say. Yes, but there is, for the time being, this is one aspect of the divine, and that one, each aspect is the whole divine. It's not one part of the divine. It's like you take a little fraction of infinity, it's still infinity. So each to its wide-winged universal poise, its fathomless feelings of the all-in-one, brought notes of some perfection yet unseen, its single retreat into truth's secrecies. Each one is a single retreat, and yet it is an aspect of the wide-winged universal theme. This is the whole play when we are not trapped by the mind, that the part is the whole. Each part is a part. We are all parts. We are all part of the whole. Not part of the whole, we are the whole. We are the all. Each unit is a projection of the all. Each drop of water of the ocean is the ocean. There is no difference between one drop of the water of the ocean and the whole ocean. Its happy sidelights on the infinite. All was found there, the unique has dreamed and made. So the world creation, the World-Stair, the world manifestation is a projection out of this supreme transcendent. There is the transcendent, the absolute, the all-containing origin from which the universe has been projected. In the universe, it's the same expression of the supreme. In each particular detail is the whole that is there, tinging with ceaseless rapture and surprise, and an opulent beauty of passionate difference, the beauty of difference. So this is part of the characteristic of the supermind. The unity is there in the diversity. Each aspect of the diversity is an expression of the unity. In the harmony, there is the play of unity in diversity. And therefore, matter is not different from spirit. Matter is an expression of the spirit. All is an expression of consciousness. Matter is an expression of consciousness at a particular degree of manifestation, but the consciousness is at the core of everything. The consciousness is hidden everywhere, sometimes hidden, sometimes less hidden, but matter is consciousness, spirit is there everywhere. The recurring beat that moments God in time. He gives you the image. God, the eternal, is there in time. The recurring beat. Beat is a fixed rhythm, a pattern. In the pattern, the divine has manifested itself. In the limited, he has come into the unlimited has accepted to enter into the limited world, in the fixed world, in the world of regularity, where discord is associated where the rhythm is broken. So it's a kind of a continuous journey of self-discovery that the seeker has to go through. Only was missing. So what is left? Was the sole, timeless word, beyond time. So the origin is the transcendent. Word is a projection of consciousness. It's a force that is projected out of the silence. The supreme silence projects sound. Sound conveys that consciousness. And that consciousness is the power of all generating, all creating force. So it is like a projection of the Supreme that manifests itself in time through the element of sound. Sound is energy. Consciousness is present not just as sound, consciousness is present in the word. Word conveys something. Even in our world, as Aurobindo has said, the word has power. The word has power means it contains your force, your energy. Whatever you are is there in your voice, is there in the thought process, in the word that you have formulated. And if we don't have anything to say, that's why Mother says don't say. Because it projects your consciousness into the world of manifestation. Once it is there, you can't take it back. It has got into play in the world, in the universe. So that silence, which is there in the word, beyond the word, that is one of his last poems, Ascent, which is divided into two poems. The first one is Into the Silence, and the second one is Beyond the Silence. Beyond the silence is projected the word which is the creative force, the word which is actually the mother power, the power of force, and yet is not anything else but an expression of Him. So if we can keep our consciousness in contact with the Divine, and yet take part in all things, in our expression, in our thoughts, in our language, in our movements, we remain connected with Him, and yet it is an expression of that which is beyond expression. This is the whole mystery of the universal, the Divine. He is the all, He is beyond the all. He is that Tat. If you have seen that chart that Aurobindo has gone through it, so the original chart, that is the Tat. And from that, all things have been projected. And Tat is there everywhere, right down to the world of the lowest matter. That spirit, that consciousness. So only was missing the sole, timeless word that carries eternity in its lonely sound. The idea, self-luminous, key to all ideas. Idea self-luminous. The idea which today, if you come across an idea, you have to have your mind to understand that idea. You have to have capacity to grasp the idea. But if the grasp is one with the origin, if my mind is one with that origin, I don't have to grasp it. It becomes an experience that I enter into. It's like the river that becomes the ocean. It doesn't have to describe or try to become the ocean. You have to lose yourself into that state of consciousness. So the idea is self-luminous. It is not understood by a faculty of knowledge. It is lived by identity. Again and again, the only true means of knowledge is knowledge by identity. key to all ideas, that integer of the Spirit's perfect sum, that equates the unequal all to the equal one. The unequal all is all display of diversity, of multiplicity, of all the possibilities and varieties. So there are some that are small, some that are great, some that are dark, some that are luminous. All of them are just an expression of the one. There is nothing that is not the Spirit. The single sign, interpreting every sign, the absolute index to the absolute. It indicates, it shows us. Every sign is an index of the absolute. Each individual is the supreme in his essence. Now, here begins a kind of a summary that he does very often. In the last part of every canto or every book, every chapter of his prose writings, you have a kind of a preparation that you can get in touch with for the next chapter. He gives us a kind of a summary. So here is that summary. The World-Stair is now being described. After having said that each is part of the all, and yet each is completely each. Each individuality, each aspect is what it is essentially, because the divine does not have to be limited by any formula. It's a kind of an outbreak of the divine mystery. But this is the whole play of the universe compared to a mountain or a building that goes up, the World-Stair. Very often we have a symbol of the need to climb mountains. You reach a different level of perception. The higher you climb, the wider the horizon, the widening of your consciousness. That is one reason why rishis were so often attracted to rising into the world of heights, physical heights, as if these physical heights are expressions of the spiritual heights. That doesn't mean that they have lost contact with the world below. A mountain has its base on the soil. It is matter. And yet they live on the heights. Matter is spirit, and this combination is there everywhere. You get the image in the force of, say, Shiva. He is the lord of, you might say, the ascetic yoga, sitting on the top of the mountain. And yet, Shakti, Parvati, is the daughter of the mountain, daughter of matter. It's the force of matter that manifests his consciousness. The interplay of matter and spirit. There, walled apart by its own innerness, in a mystical barrage of dynamic light, he saw a lone, immense, high-curved world pile, erect like a mountain chariot of the gods. So it is as if through these, the forces, the gods are projections, emanations, individualized emanations of the One. Each god, as if, is an embodiment of one mode of perfection. So you have the origin, which is the supramental transcendent. And then in the world of the overmind, you have the different gods, each one embodying that consciousness in its uniqueness. So you have the God of light, the God of love, the God of beauty, the God of knowledge, the God of so on and so forth. And each one is a God, and each one is perfect. Each one never deteriorates because they are not limited to the world of time. Whatever is in time deteriorates. Whatever is not in time doesn't change, doesn't deteriorate. So these gods remain permanent. All gods are permanent. Man can contain all the gods in him, but because of his connection with ignorance and incapacity and unconsciousness, the gods get hidden in his nature, trapped in his darkness, and he has to work his way out of this trap. So the building, first he says a mountain, then he says a building. So that's the staircase. Motionless like an inscrutable sky. As if from matter's plinth and viewless base to a top as viewless, a carved sea of worlds climbing with foam-maned waves to the supreme, ascended towards breadths immeasurable. As if from matter's plinth. So it's the same building. You have a building, the base, the plinth, the foundation, and the top of the house, the same house. Matter and spirit are the same. They're part of one whole.
What exactly is the meaning of inscrutable?
That which you cannot really examine. To scrutinize is to look carefully. That which cannot be examined, which you cannot see. So there is that which is above our sight, above our vision, above our understanding. And the world of matter is that with which you can connect in the most concrete manner. That which is most concrete, which you may think is dull, dark, heavy, and that which is beyond your experience. They are part of the same range of experiences. So you don't give up anything. You give up that acceptance that this is the world of darkness which has to be rejected if you want to enter into the world of the spirit. But then, that is what the avatar does. He comes down into the world of the body, comes down into the world of death, and brings that manifestation of light into the darkness. This is his work. The pilgrim of the night, he speaks of that. The God's labor, he speaks of that. Because it's the same world where you go to that keyless gate and knock at the keyless gate. He has entered into that state where there's total refusal of opening to the light. Out of that, the light breaks out. So it is just for our, you might say, narrow understanding. You say, this is a world I should reject. I should not enter into the world of darkness. I should not connect with the world of matter. I should not be attached to this world because I want only the spirit. And you may arrive at some experience of light, but the lower world is not the lower world. It is also his play. It's one pile, it's one mountain, one house. The basement is part of the house. It holds up the house. You might be living on the, 75th floor, but it's founded based on the lowest level of the house. So ascended towards breadths immeasurable. It hoped to soar into the ineffable's reign, 100 levels. 100 levels raised it to the unknown. So it towered up to heights intangible and disappeared in the hushed conscious vast as climbs a storied temple tower to heaven. And in the foundations of Indian culture, he associates this. It's different stories, just like the Indian temple has different stories, levels. Each level is on the Gopuram, for instance. The lowest plane of consciousness is represented on the lowest base of the Gopuram. You have the lower forces, the dark forces. And at the very, very top, as you rise from level to level, there is no form. You have the animal world, oh my God, the mental world of man, then the world of the gods depicted on the temple Gopuram, and at the end, the formless. There is no depiction. Sometimes it's a crescent moon. It cannot be given a particular form. The moment you give it a fixed form, you limit. For a long time, that form is our help, because you relate to it. But when you reach higher and higher, you say that form has become an impediment. I'm stuck with that particular definition of truth, or particular expression of God. You say, this God is like this God is like that, this one has 4 heads and that one has 3 heads. It doesn't really matter. It is how I see things. As I go beyond, I feel there is no form. Form is also part of his play. So in the foundation he speaks a lot about Indian architecture. You realize that architecture, which deals with solid stone, is a projection of a conscious vision. You can't build unless you have a vision before you start building. That which is a projection of your way of looking at reality, which is part of a whole. My way of seeing things, I am not a completely separate island living by myself. I am part of the universal game. So each of us is part of the all. So he has sometimes mentioned that these two arts were very close to his own personal experience, sculpture and architecture. As climbs a storied temple tower to heaven, built by the aspiring soul of man, you build according to your aspiration. As your spirit soars, your building soars. Your body is a building. Your thought is a building. Your language is a building. Everything is a building. According to your inner nature, the expression rises. Built by the aspiring soul of man to live near to his dream of the invisible. Shall we stop here?